Hi guys, good morning and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Mandy. You can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. I am a 40-year-old woman and I live here in southeastern Michigan in the United States. I live here with my husband and my 2 kiddos, and I am here to talk to you guys about knitting and machine knitting and crocheting and fiber arts and yarn in general. So if that sounds like something that could be interesting to you, please stick around. I would love to have you. Okay, today we've got an assortment of things to talk about. We have a couple of acquisitions. I am going to give you an update on the advents that I've been opening, kind of show you some of the things that have come out of the last week's openings, I guess, for the advents. We are going to show you a couple of acquisitions. Talk about a big fail that I had in the last week. So, yes, a big fail. We are basically a week until I need to get my son's Christmas sweater done. And what do you think my big fail was about? Any guesses? Leave them down below. It's been a week, right? Okay, I am sure that as crafters, you guys know what it's like to have a terrible idea, because I sure do. Okay, let's put that off a little bit. Let's do something fun instead. I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And if that was you, please reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Let me know what pattern prize that you want, and then I will go ahead and gift that to you. Now, if you don't use Ravelry, let me know that, and we will come up with a different payment platform for you. If you do use Ravelry, let me know your Ravelry name, and then I will go ahead and send that pattern to your Ravelry account. Okay, if you're new here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay, because I'm going to explain it to you right now. Every podcast, I give away a digital prize pattern. The pattern must be 15 USD or under, and you can only win once a month. So, with those rules kind of in place, the way that you enter, you just leave a comment down below, and then you come back next week, see if you win. That's it. Okay. Now, let's kind of get down to business. I've got a huge pile here, so I've got to be precarious about how I reach for things. We're going to start with machine knitting, and I am so excited about these hats because they are new yarn I have not tried before, or at least some of them are. I'm going to show you the new ones first. So, this is a yarn art yarn, and I believe this is metallic. I'm going to put up all of the yarn information that I talk about, and it's going to be on the screen. You're going to get, I believe, the yarn name, you'll get the yarn weight, and kind of the put up of it. So, and also a link to the Ravelry page of the yarn. So, this is beautiful. I love this. Now, if it's not coming up, well, it looks like it is. It's not black. It is kind of black. It's words. Okay, so it is black, but the metallic thread is pinkish. Not pink, maybe like a plum. I love this color. It's so pretty. But here's the problem I'm having, right? Because all of the colorways that I've tried in this are really pretty. This blue is gorgeous. Now, I should tell you guys all about this yarn. This is what I would consider a number 2. So we're talking a lighter yarn. I would say close to fingering. So whenever I am making this, and I made these hats by using an Addie King, and I make hats to donate to certain causes, and they can either be donated to sell or they can just be donated for people to use. And I make them and then give them away. And generally for these, I tend to stick with washable yarn. Now, I have made oodles of hats, and I've made them with the Addie King. And I've learned a couple of things through making all of these hats. And some of the things that I have learned are that the Addie seems to do really well with DK weight yarn. It does better with DK weight yarn than it does with Aran. There are some worsted weight yarns that are too thick for it. And the thinner the weight of yarn is, the easier the hat is in terms of dropped stitches or stitches that aren't forming properly. And then when you start to get towards fingering weight yarn, if the yarn is grabby, and I'm grabby as in when you pull a strand across another strand, you can kind of feel the resistance, then it works up really great. So this is a grabbier yarn, and I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of fuzzy, like furry. That sounds like a terrible way to describe it, but that's what's coming to mind right now. It's very comfy, cozy, soft, almost like a brushed yarn or maybe a mohair. So it worked up very well in the knitting machine. The fact that it was a lighter weight yarn and it was also grabby. So I love this color, and now I cannot decide which one of these colors I want to keep for myself, because I do want one, because I love sparkle hats. I really think that this is pretty, but I like this one too. But I really, really like this one because you guys know me, I love pink and purple. So this is also very good stretch and very soft. It's a little bit lighter weight than you would get from, say, a worsted, but I mean, I like it. So I think those make excellent adult-sized hats, the lighter weight. Now, if your fingering weight or lighter weight yarn is not as, there's not as much of a halo, then there's a chance it might not make as great of a hat as you think it would. The gauge might be a little bit too loose. In times like that, sometimes I'll make a cowl. Sometimes I will just not work it up in the knitting machine. So I have a couple more hats that I'm going to talk about and show you. Now, I can't even tell you what this type of yarn is, but I am going to give you a pretty good idea here. I can't tell you what it is because it was a mill end. So I don't know. But what I'm thinking is that it's very, very close to either a Simply Soft or like a Red Heart Soft. So it's, I would say, a worsted. We're gonna go with that. A lighter worsted, just like Simply Soft. So this is the purple. And I actually do have a Simply Soft right here as well. And this one is a little bit bigger than the other hat. Let me see if I can show you. Because whenever I make them, I try to make different sizes. So, and depending on how stretchy the yarn is, depends on like what type of head it's going to fit. This yarn is pretty stretchy here. And then I have one more, and this is, ooh, I've got to actually move the rest of these hats. So each one of the metallic yarn art hats made one per ball. So that's pretty good. And I have 2 of the purple and then 2 of the blue. I actually have 3 of the purple, pink. I think I bought 3 because I wanted one of the purple colored. So let's just keep that in mind when you guys are putting down below which hat you think I should keep. And then I have one of these. This is just a gray. It is a Premier Basics hat. And it's super soft. And when I picked this out, I envisioned someone like my son wearing it because he just loves the plain colored hats, the plain black, gray, things like that. And the knitting machine lends itself very nicely to the plain colored hats that you might not have as much fun knitting by hand as you would knitting with the machine. So let me toss these off to the side, quite literally, because I don't want to fall, and I very well might. If you're new here, I am paralyzed from the waist down, and sometimes you will see me kind of wibble and wobble, but that's just kind of how it goes. Okay, so last night we went to a banquet for both of my kiddos' extracurricular activity. So we went to this banquet, and it's a huge basically party at a pretty nice banquet hall, and it goes on throughout the night, and you stay out pretty late at it. It's a very big deal, and there are awards and everything. So I brought a Musselburgh with me, and I brought it with me because I need to have my hands kind of moving no matter what's happening. If I have to like be at a table with people, I really need to keep my hands moving. Otherwise my brain starts like, I don't know. I try to fill in like spaces that don't need to be filled in by talking, and I'll just go kind of on and on, or be awkward or feel awkward. So that is why I like knitting, because that way I don't have to worry about it. So I find that whenever I am in a public place, knitting always gives me something to talk about and something to concentrate on. So I'm just more focused on what's going on. So I don't know if you can see, but this is the Musselburgh that I have been working on, and we're going to be ending this and starting decreasing here pretty soon. Now, I know you're probably wondering what I'm doing with these stripes. The answer is that I am running out of purple, and I am just going to fill in with whatever yarn I have. And then I will be pretty much done, because we're getting pretty long here. To be fair, I could have probably started decreasing a bit ago, but I just decided that I was going to use as much yarn as I wanted. And I like slouchy hats, and this is for me. So now this is the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague, and it is basically a recipe. You gauge swatch it, and then you increase based on that gauge. And I wonder if I have, oh, I do. I have a tape measure in here. Let's see how long this actually is. Because it's easy to say that it's long, but if you watched last week, you know that I am not very good at, so it is 22 inches, and I think that's exactly where I need to be to start my decreases. Yeah, so I guess we'll see, and at the very worst, I might pull out what I knit last night and start the decreases, which was just this part right here. I didn't necessarily knit that much while I was at the banquet. I was paying attention to everything that was going on, and I just had to. It makes me feel more comfortable when I have knitting in my hand. So that's pretty much what this knitting kind of helped me with. But hopefully, I mean, theoretically, I might be able to finish this next week. So I guess well, I gotta talk to you guys about my fail first, and then maybe I'll decide if I'm gonna finish that or not. So if you've been following my long kind of Christmas sweater saga here, you'll know that I have been working on Christmas sweaters for my two kiddos. I finished my daughter's Christmas sweater. I have been using the Strange Brew pattern. The Strange Brew pattern is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and it is more of a recipe in that you can pick your yarn weight, it will give you basically a recipe for a top-down circular yoke sweater, and then you can go ahead and plug and play whatever colorwork motifs you want from the pattern. The pattern has a ton to choose from, and then if you're like me, you can also pick other motifs from wherever you want. So for my daughters, I used cats, a whole bunch of cats, and I got the cats from the Doodle Deck cat stack. So for my sons, I've been using video game motifs that I found in different places. There's an 8-bit sweater, there's an 8-bit doodle beanie. I'm trying to remember everywhere I got these things. And just different places I've picked up these colorwork knitting motifs. Well, if you watched last week, you saw that I had just finished the Kirby motif on my son's sweater. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Kirby, Kirby is a video game character, and he's very close to a circle. The only reason I'm explaining how he looks is because it's important to know this because of how long the floats are. And I did catch my floats. I tried very hard to leave them loose. Do you guys see where this is going? So I tried very hard to leave them loose, and it did not work the way that I wanted it to. After I finished the last motifs on the sleeves and the body, I took it and blocked it. And then I had my son try it on. Now, he tried it on, and the bottom Kirby motif was very tight. And you could tell that there was just not enough stretch in it. So I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and I'm like, oh, this is really cruddy. And then I went and I'm like, I really, really, really. Now, as knitters or crafters, you know, whenever you have something to get done on a timeline and you're kind of over it, you're like, okay, so what can I do to get this done without having to do the thing you should do, which is, you know, tear it out and do it again. So I'm thinking and I'm like, okay, maybe I can cut the floats. Are you guys laughing yet? Because you should be. It's funny. So I took scissors and I tried to cut the floats. No, guys, I am here to tell you, I am taking one for the team. I am here to tell you that no, cutting your floats when they're too tight does not work. It is something that should be obvious, and I mean it is obvious now, you know, after I did it, that cutting the floats does not work. So I cut the floats on the sweater, just the Kirby motifs, to try to loosen them up. And now, if it's not obvious why this won't work, because, you know, if I would have thought about it, I would have realized this, but I didn't, because I was just so frustrated that they were tight that I was just gonna try anything. So I cut the floats and then I went like this to kind of stretch it out, and the floats that were too short started, you know, undoing. So I ended up taking the Kirby motif out, which is fine. And I'm sharing this with you guys because I want to save you the heartache of having to reorder yarn, which is what I had to do. And my yarn should be here on Monday, and that's good. And for at least in my favor, I only cut the floats on the body because I just wanted to try it out. Although, to be fair, if I would have thought about it, I should have only cut one sleeve's floats. But it is what it is. With all of that said, I have a little bit of that passion fruit, I think it was called, passion fruit yarn left, and I have been working on a new motif. So, if you are wondering why the sweater has less knit on it than it did last week, that story would be exactly why. And it's silly. And, you know, as crafters, I guess, or at least as me, because I can't speak for all crafters, but for me, I just do silly things sometimes. And I learn from them, and then I never do them again. And I find new silly things to do. So, let me kind of straighten out what I have here. The good news is that I did pick up, I'm trying to tuck in some ends because I did not weave any ends in up here. Just trying to tuck them in so that way you get a better visual representation of what the collar looks like, because I did pick up and knit the ribbing on the collar. So this is the sweater, and you can see down here, I wonder how well it's gonna come out, but this is Mega Man. I think that's who that is. I'll have to ask my son just to make sure. But I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but we have the Hyrule logo and some icons from Zelda and a mushroom and a star. And then up here we have Pac-Man and some ghosts. So that is my very long winded explanation of why I have less knitting done this week than I did last week. Or, yeah, it's still less knitting, even though I have the collar done, because I had almost both motifs done I had almost all of them done. With that said, I would like to say that I will probably end up doing about 2 inches of ribbing. My goal is that I am going to, well, maybe not 2 inches, because I think after I do this last motif, which I have about 12 more rows on, so 12 more rows of this, so like right here-ish. And then after that, I think I'm going to do one more of these borders that I do in between the motifs and then do the ribbing, because I think that'll give it a little bit extra length, because a border takes up about this much room right there. Sorry, I'm like that much room. So it has been a lot. I feel like this podcast episode should be like labeled something to do with rainbow, because you guys will see I'm wearing my baseline cardigan. This is a design from Suzanne Sommer, and I think that's who designed it. So Sue Knits. And then this is rainbowy, and I have rainbow advents, and I have lots of rainbows. So you will notice that if you stick around, I love color, and I am a big fan of pink and rainbow. If rainbow were a color, it would be my favorite color. So, okay, I am going to show you my crochet blanket. Here we go. Now, this is a ripple blanket, and I have yarn going everywhere right now. I should really weave the ends back in here. So this is a crochet ripple blanket, and I have just kind of started on, well, I ended right here last week. So I've gotten this done, and you guys can kind of see how big it's getting. It's growing quite a bit here, and you can tell I started using the lighter colors up here again. I don't know if you were here last week when I talked about it, but I decided I was going to kind of stagger these colors to do some light and then dark and then, well, vibrant, I guess I would say, and then light again. So this blanket is also very long. So I'm thinking it will be a vertical blanket. But this is I'm going to say that it's a pattern recipe. It's a very simple stitch, and it was one that my brain could process very easily, so I love doing it. And even if you mess up, it's very easy to kind of right yourself. So that's another reason I really like this one. But this is going to be for my son. It has been made with jewel spun ombre, and I have a bunch of these now because I've had to kind of take the cakes that they've given me and kind of wrap them into balls myself, so that way they kind of quit falling apart here. But the next time, because I have more jewel spun ombre to make my daughter a blanket with, I am going to roll them into balls before I do anything else. Just that way I'll be able to keep them separate, because what I think I'll do is make balls that are smaller sized, because they come in huge put-ups, and then I'll just store the balls until I'm ready to use the ones I need. That way it will be a lot less carrying huge bags around, at least until the blanket grows enough. I have not decided what type of blanket I want to make her yet. I'm really feeling like I kind of just want to do a granny striped back and forth, but I'll have to see if she wants a ripple wave, because you know, she's 10 going on 11, and she's still to the point where if I make her a granny striped blanket, she might look at me and go, well, why does it have the waves or something? So I'll ask her opinion, and then maybe she'll want something different, because she does like star blankets as well. Okay, what do we want to talk about next? Because I have some acquisitions and I feel like I should probably go over those before I go over the Advents. So I have a non-yarn acquisition, and I wanted to share this because it's really cute. I am part of Darn It Anyway. They're in Stillwater, Minnesota, and I'm part of their newsletter list email group. Newsletter list email group. That's terribly worded. I receive their newsletter in my email. So they do something called, I think, the 10 days of DKA. I think that's what it's called. But they did it this year, and one of the days just really hopped out at me, and I loved it. And the reason that I loved it is because I've been looking for a craft that I can kind of do with my daughter. And these popped out because they said right on them that, like, I think 8+. So I'm like, okay, let's try this. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says, everything you need to needle felt, frosted decorations, and holiday cheer onto 8 beautiful 100% wool felt cookie shapes. String cookies in a garland or individually as ornaments. This kit contains simple instructions, 2 all-purpose felting needles, soy-based foam felting pad, 8 100% wool felt cookie shapes, vibrantly colored felting wool, wool yarn, and threading needle. It says this kit is best suited for felters age 8+. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. And I thought that this was something that I could do with my daughter. Now, on the front of this says it's from Sheep Creek Studio. And I don't know if they sell these there or if this is something that was specifically made for Darn It Anyway. But if you can see the information down below right there. I just thought that these were such a cute idea. So we are going to make them today, And then maybe next week I'll show you guys, because I think that this seemed really cute to me. It seemed like a really good idea for the holidays. And I'm always looking for crafts to kind of pull my kids into. So, okay, I have a couple more acquisitions. And yeah, I do have a little bit of acquisitions here, but this is kind of the culmination of this whole month. So, gotta show you. This I got from Freia Handpaint Yarns, and this is a kit for the sidestep cowl. It's by Tina Whitmore, and it says, this kit includes 4 hand-dyed US merino minikins and written instructions, and the familiarity with basic brioche required. Now, if you can take a look at that, I think that that's really pretty right there. And then these are the minis that it came with. I thought that this cowl would make a really good gift. Now, what else before I show you the advents? So I was, sorry about the crinkling. I was on a Zoom and I had heard somebody mention that Spincycle Yarns does seconds, and they sell the seconds in batches and they're discounted. And I haven't really tried Spincycle very much. I believe I've tried Spincycle Plump, but that's been pretty much my whole experience with Spincycle. So when I heard about the seconds, I thought that that would be kind of a cool way to try them, just to kind of see what I would get. And it's a mystery, so you never really know. I did go to Spincycle's site and I asked them to notify me whenever they got seconds in stock. So they notified me earlier this month, I think it was around Black Friday, that they had some seconds in stock. So I ordered one and it came. And I am going to show you guys what came in the package. So here we are right here. Now it says fluorite, bitter pill, test 13, wild horses, and test 13. So if you look on the front, it says disclaimer for test 13, dye may bleed. Test 13 is this one, sorry for the crinkling guys, right here, this color. And I really like that color. So I actually have 2 test 13s in here. But do you see this fluorite color? I love that. These are all probably going to make hats. And it says superwash 150 yards worsted weight, 200 yards sport weight, 200 yards sport weight, 150 yards worsted, and 150 worsted. So 2 sport and 3 worsted. And the fluorite is worsted. And I feel like that would be really pretty matched with black. So I thought that this would be fun to try, just to see. And okay, one more thing, because I don't need one more thing, do I? I saw saw this and really liked it. Now if only I can get it open. Here we go. Sorry for the crinkling, guys. I didn't want to put these in my plastic packing until I showed you. So this is a brand new yarn, and I saw this color and I saw what yarn it was on, and I thought that it was the best thing ever. And you guys are going to understand why as soon as I show you. So the put up for this is 65% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and 10% polyester. The color for this is Legally Blonde. So this yarn is called Spotlight, and I don't know, I'm going to try to get it to show. Yeah, there we go. So this is on basically it's hot pink, and it's got sequins in it. Now, this is from Yarn Snob, and I love it. I love the color. I love the yarn. And when I purchased 2 of the yarn, it came with a cowl pattern. So I have a cowl pattern that's like my favorite cowl type. It's one of the big ones, the long ones, I should say. And it used this color exactly. And I looked at it and I'm like, I love that. So that is why I picked this up. And I hope you guys can appreciate that, because sequins, it's very soft and interesting too. I wonder if this will show on camera. So I'm gonna try to get it too. It is sock, basically it's like a sock yarn, but look, there's like almost a polyester thread plied, is that what you would say, encircling it, plied around it maybe. I don't know. I was just trying to I do not spin, so I do not know the terminology, but it's basically like wrapped around it like a barber pole. So it's very soft, and I love the sequins. It is a DK, or basically light worsted, and a 100-gram hank is 240 meters, 262 yards. And milled in Italy and dyed in the USA. Very pretty. So I enjoyed that. Oh guys, sorry my battery died. Okay, so where were we? Okay, I'm going to show you the advents that I have been opening over the last month, and these have been a lot of fun to open, but I am going to let you know that my daughter has been doing all of the opening. So the first one that I'm going to show you is Twice Sheared Sheep, and I'm just going to show you what she's opened in the last week. So this is the first thing that has been opened, and this is a needle gauge. We have basically a swatch measurer, a swatching tool, I guess you could say. And look, measuring tape, which I think that this tool is pretty nifty. There's lots of stuff in here, so I thought that this was cute. We've got some clothing labels. I got this advent from Twice Sheared Sheep, and I've never had it before, and it just appealed to me because it wasn't a yarn advent. And as you can see, just a bunch of notions and stuff came in it. The overall theme was supposed to be storybook. So whenever we whenever she opened these, both of us were really excited about them. And I don't know if you can tell, but they're the 3 little pigs, right? And I'm like, because when she opened them, I'm like, oh, look, the pigs are different. Because they are. They're different, like, molds of each pig. And she goes, yeah, Mom, that's because the 3 little pigs are different. And I'm like, okay. Can't argue with that logic. So these are buttons, and I think that these would go cute on like I don't know, like a little kid sweater, something like that, right? It has the 3 billy goats. Is that what they're called? But I don't know if they'll show up. I hope they do. They're really cute. I love like all the different buttons. We've got a work and tell measuring tape. And that's a Notion. And I've never seen this. This is called an eye grip. It says how to use. Place the safety eye post through the fabric of your stuffed animal in the location that you want the eye. Place the back washer into the cup of the eye grip tool that fits best. Slide the eye grip tool inside the stuffed animal to fit your eye post into the eye back. While holding the eye grip tool in place, press down firmly on the safety eye with your thumb to snap the eye into the back. Repeat for the second eye. So it looks like it's just something to help you grip and position the amigurumi safety eyes. And then also some of these, which are very useful. These are cable locks. And they are useful because if you are like me, you just throw your knitting into a bag without them. And then whenever you get it back out, you have to pick up stitches. So I'm glad that I have some of those. I need to put them into my knitting bag so that I use them. Okay, so the first advent I am going to show you is from Blackbird Sycamore Yarn, and it is a beautiful advent. And do you remember how I said that the whole theme for this podcast should be rainbow? Well, I wasn't kidding. First off, let me show you the bag again because I love this bag. It's so pretty. This came with the advent and it matches the advent so well and it's so nice and I love this bag. But hang on, let me bring out the advent. I have it on knitting needle cords so that I can actually hold them all at the same time. Let me kind of stretch them out. This is such a beautiful advent. I love it. Can you guys see that? Look. What am I gonna do with this? I think, and I asked you guys last week what I should do with this, and I've been thinking about it, and I think that this would make a really pretty the stripe sweater. And the reason I think that is because with the other advent, I think that the other advent would make a better blanket because then I can use the full skeins as well with the blanket. And I'll show you that in a second. But first let's talk about this because I love these colors so much. I think that this is going to make a gorgeous striped sweater. Now, hang on, wait a second. This is her advent from last year. And I guess I should have mentioned that. I am wearing it. This was the Blackbird Sycamore advent from last year. And I love this one too. And look, maybe I should make another baseline. Oh man, now I'm thinking about it. But I really want a stripe hype. Or wait, not a stripe hype. I really want the Stripes Gone Crazy. Is that what it's called? I'm putting it up. You'll see it. It's very tempting though, because I wonder how much I used. I'm trying to remember how much I used from the Advent last year for the baseline. I think I used quite a bit, so it's not like I'm going to get two. But I really like the main color that I used for this. So I also have another main color. It is like a lighter, like a cream. I think it's called Moonbeam, and I can't think of how to describe it, but almost like a glowy color. So I'm wondering if maybe that one will go good with this, or if I should stick with like this antique color. But I'm excited, and I will be casting this on as soon as my son's Christmas sweater is dealt with. I should have a pretty good idea of when I'm going to have that done by next week. Okay, now that was it for the Blackbird Sycamore Advent, and I have one more to show you. This is Mousewitch Yarns Advent, and I am going to show you the mini skeins first. And this is Merry and Bright. There we go. Had it a little bit tangled. Now, I think that this would make an awesome granny square blanket. And they might be a little bit out of order here. Or at least appearing that way, because I'm trying to spread them out on the needle. There we go. So I think this would make an excellent granny square blanket, which is what I am going to be making with it. And the reason I picked this to make the granny square blanket and the other to make the striped sweater is because of this. And let me set that there for a second. Actually, let me just hold on to it because I don't want it to fall. And the reason I said that is because I have these main skeins. And I thought that they would go well in the blanket, especially granny squares. And I am going to be researching a granny square, or yeah, I would go with granny square. Some sort of squares that I can make, but that would be putting it together as I go, because I don't want to have a bunch of squares to weave in. So these are the main skeins to the weekly Advent. So I think that these would go well with a blanket as well. So what I'm going to do is research some granny square blankets that have instructions to kind of crochet them together as I go along. And I think that's it. Okay guys, I am going to spend about 5 minutes talking about what I've read and watched, and there hasn't really been a lot. I have been watching, I should say, Has Been Hotel on Amazon Prime, and I really like that. It's a cartoon, but it's more of an adult situation cartoon. It's a cartoon musical. It's about heaven and hell and the princess of hell and how she's trying to rehabilitate sinners so that they can go to heaven instead. My cat has a toy out there. He does that, and it's so funny because we'll hear him just yowling and walking around carrying one of those tinsel balls. And then last week, and I don't know what happened. We have 2 cats. I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but I gotta say it because it struck me as hilarious when it happened. We have 2 cats, and we have the 20-year-old cat who you just heard yowling, and then we have a more spry, like 5-year-old cat. And we had pizza, I believe right after I filmed the last time, because yeah, I had to leave because the pizza had arrived. So we had pizza, and then later on that night, I was watching Has-Been Hotel. It's funny how this is all tying together. I was watching Has-Been Hotel with my son, and because one of his friends at school had basically said, you should watch this. And I thought that was funny. And he's 15 almost. It's probably not super appropriate for him, but it is what it is. I don't think it's like overly. It's probably not super appropriate for him. But anyways, we heard the cat yowling, and my son is like, he has a toy, he must have a toy. And I'm like, it doesn't look like he has a toy because he was right outside the doorway and we could see him, and it looked like he was eating something. So, long story short, my son got up to check to see what he was eating, and he had a piece of pizza crust because apparently our 5-year-old cat had grabbed a piece of pizza out of the garbage can, knocked it onto the floor, and then they both kind of tag teamed it. They're so silly. But anyways, Has-Been Hotel is pretty funny. Like I said, it's pretty adult situations, adult content. I wouldn't watch it if that would make you offended or upset. To me, I love it. I love the songs to it. I love the social commentary. It's just I think it's a really good show. I have been listening to The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling, and this is a book. It's a horror science fiction. It's pretty good. But like I said, it's a horror science fiction, so take that as you will. It is about basically a woman who gets hired by a company to go down into a cave system, and this is way far in the future, and she has some pretty cool like science tech gear. Think along the veins of like The Martian, Andy Weir, things like that. But I thought it was really good. It was really well done. I really liked it, but I also really like science fiction and horror, so keep that in mind. I read To the Center of the Earth by Greg Beck, and I really liked that one too, and that was what I had started reading that kind of brought me into The Luminous Dead, because that one is about to the center of the earth, right? These people are they want to win a contest to go further down into the center of the earth than anybody else has ever gone, because there's like $1 million prize, and then a bunch of science fiction stuff happens. So that's what I'm listening to. I am on a big sci-fi kick. So the one that I am listening to currently is called Dead Silence. And this is about basically a salvage ship crew. A crew that is in space and they're on their final mission, and then they hear an SOS beacon. So they go investigate it and figure out that it is from a huge luxury ship that disappeared and nobody has heard from in like 20 years. So they go into it, and it's science fiction horror, so you could fill in the blanks yourself, I'm sure, but I'm enjoying it very much. And that's it. That's all that I've been listening to or watching this week. I hope that you guys have had an awesome December, and I hope that you are geared up to end your December very well. I will see you guys next week, and don't forget, if you could, please give this video a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button, and make sure to comment if you want to enter next week's giveaway. If I did pull your name earlier in the episode, make sure that you remember to contact me. Okay, awesome guys. Thanks. Bye.